We are back. Looks like we just had you had another successful promotion last weekend. Tell us a little bit about that. Was anything crazy happen? Was it good? What was bad?
Pretty good. Successful, like always, I think. Well, not like always, but uh, with the good comes with the bad. Overall, I think really good fights. I mean, I think every single fight was super, super, super entertaining.
What would you say was fight of the night?
It really depends. Look, it really depends. The heavyweights went at it. Both of them were going at it in the beginning. It was going one way. You can see it. One guy was going out, then he came back. It was like literally like a Rocky movie, and to have the two big guys go at it like that, it was pretty entertaining. Then you got the young pro debuts, the second to two last fights. Going up against some strong veteran fighters. They had their moments, but then the veteran experienced fighters, put them in deep waters, and some of them, got tested. And then obviously the main event was a very, very entertaining fight. Why?
Because that was back and forth too.
That was back and forth. The guy came from Arizona. He came to win. He was ready, and
he was tough.
It was tough. He came. He was winning some rounds. He was stealing some rounds, and I think he overdid it early, and he got tired, and he got exposed towards the end, and they capitalized, and he got caught, and he couldn't recover, and they stopped the fight towards the end. And like I said, overall, all the fights were great. All the fighters, whether they won or lost, it was super, super, super entertaining. I think at the end of the day, the fans went home happy, and they're the ones that truly won.
How did you end up making it to the main event? Last name was Sweat. Did you do that on purpose?
You know what's funny? It was a few people like, "Hey, you own the gym Sweat, and the guy that's fighting the main event, his last name is Sweat, so he's gonna be rocking his."
I thought it was a joke.
No, I know.
I never heard of anybody with the last name Sweat.
I didn't either, and he happened to be Mexican too. So he's Mexican with the last name Sweat. How does that work? I don't know, but man. Overall, great dude. His whole team were great people. I definitely want to bring him back for sure. I mean, for sure, super professional. He has a badass name too.
Yeah, he surprised me.
I mean, yeah. I'm surprised he didn't ask us for royalties too. To be honest with you, right. But maybe later on he will. Hopefully, he doesn't try to sue us.
What was the craziest part of the night?
I mean, that night or the night before or the week of. Man, it's so much that goes into it. Stressful, man. This one was stressful. It definitely pushed me to the limits. It made me realize that I am definitely doing way too much. It definitely pushed me to the limits where I'm like, at the end, I was like, you know what? The next day, I'm like, I cannot do this no more. I have to hire way more people and give them roles, no matter what. Even if I have to prepare for the unprepared as far as like, hey, this is role. Even if nothing happens, we're gonna pay them, and if something happens, they're responsible, right?
Yeah.
What happened was everything that could go wrong went wrong, and guess what? I had to deal with it, and I was like back and forth. People screaming at me, ticket issues, seat issues. It was bad, but
it wasn't obvious to the people that was there. It looked like everybody enjoyed the show. It was a great
for sure.
turnout. Sold out?
For the most part, it's sold out. Now,
VIP sold out for sure.
100% VIP sold out. The only one that didn't really sell out was the general admission. We kind of figured towards the end that the Canelo fight was going to affect us a little bit because, obviously it was the Canelo fight. The day before was the Ryan Garcia fight. Overall, it was a super successful. I'm blessed to say that we made profit, which is a rare thing in the boxing industry, but we did. So we're continuing on to the next. As far as the difficulties, like I said, I know that night we had a ticket issue, seating issue with one of the VIPs, and obviously when that happens, you have people get mad, upset, and people throwing stuff, and you want to do right with everybody. You want to make sure everybody's happy, especially your paying customer, and you try to do what's best.
So when you say it's a rare thing in the boxing world to profit on the fights or promotion, is that like non-televised fights or just
for the most part? When it's a non-televised fight, smaller promotion, it is difficult to make money, right?
Right.
Because you know, it's a very expensive. Boxing is a very expensive sport as far as you got to upfront the money. Everything, every single thing you have to pay for. Insurance, venue costs, you know, every single person, security, the state, the fighter's purse, hotel. I mean, my hotel bill was almost $3,000. Just the hotel bill. And you're like, it was only 2 days, $3,000. I'm like, well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, flights. So it all adds up super, super, super quick. And then, like I said, everybody wants their money. They don't care whether you make money or not. They want their money. And the very next day, they're cashing their check, and my bank is like, bing, bing, bing. Did you approve this check? Did you approve this check? So I'm like, yes, yes, yes. And you better have that money in the bank, because if not, you know, you're gonna be in trouble. That's how the industry goes, you know. So it can be stressful.
So it seems like it's a bittersweet feeling at the end of a promotion when it's over. It's like it's finally over. You did it. It's done. You want a little break. You want a vacation. If hopefully it went well, it's successful. But at the other end of that, everyone's always wondering, and you're always asking yourself the question of, when's the next one?
For sure. You know, obviously, to be relevant and stay relevant and to grow, you need to continue to move forward and do more and more and more. Obviously, in this industry, it's super hard because it's super competitive, because you're not just competing with other boxing events. You're competing with the massive boxing events all over the world, and then you're competing with the promoters that are trying to do what you're doing. Then whatever city you're in, you're competing with that. Whether you're in Dallas, you're competing with the Mavericks, you're competing with the Stars, you're competing with all that. So it's so competitive when it comes to entertainment, because that's, at the end of the day, boxing is entertainment. It's not just a sport. So
what have you learned within the promotion that you can differentiate yourself in the next promotion to make it so that people will want to buy tickets to HVE?
Absolutely. That's the difference between me and what that's what I focus on. My show is not just boxing. We put so much effort on making sure the fans, the consumer, is entertained. Have an extreme experience. They're happy, whether it's the music, the production, the streaming services, whatever we can do to make it that next level. That's what we do. What did I do? I went above and beyond, and I want to go get my other production guy that brings the screens so we can have extra projection screens and all that. That's an extra cost that I didn't need to do, but I wanted to do that so the fans could get a better experience. You know, it's things like that that will set you over the top, but that raises your budget.
When you see the recording, it looks very well done. Like going back and watching the fights.
Yes,
yeah,
for sure, 100%. And like I said, you know, we're growing. You know, like I said, our streaming services, our YouTube channel is growing, and little by little, I think we're gonna do something really, really, really big.
So, I know you get this question a lot. I'm sure people probably approach you and want to get put on cards, things like that. Are there any up-and-coming fighters or talent locally, not locally, that you are thinking about putting on one of your upcoming shows or cards?
Look, I'll say it a million times, because everybody is reaching out. They're trying to get on my card, and I would love to put everybody in my card. As a promoter, as a CEO, I have to look out what's best for the promotion and for everybody that's working hard behind the scenes, because I owe it to them that the company is still running and I pay everybody. So we got to put that first, and we got to make sure, okay, look, who can bring people to the table? Who can sell tickets?
Yeah.
So that's the number one key. We have to be able to market these fighters. So if I know they can sell, we're going to put them in. They're going to get priority. That's the number one key. If you can sell tickets, we're putting you in. That's
right.
100%. That's what I want. And obviously, talent is crucial. Marketability is crucial. And the hustle. You got to have the hustle, 100%. It's difficult in this day and age. A lot. You got to think about it. I don't know what the number is, how many thousands and thousands of fighters in the world there are professional boxers right now. What is it? Maybe 5% of them are signed to a big promoter, or to a promoter regardless. So say 95% of fighters are not signed to any promoter. So what are they doing? You gotta market yourself. You gotta push yourself, because you need a promoter, because you need their platform so you can show your skills, because you're trying to sell your service.
Yeah.
And my job is to believe in, like, you have the skills, and I'm gonna sell your service to the market, right? I believe that your skills are good enough and you're marketable enough that I can sell to the market, which is the fans, to my market, right? That's how everything works. Therefore, I can get money, therefore I can pay you and pay the venue and all that. So that's why I tell everybody, look, it is crucial for you to really market yourself.
So this day and age would be the best advice for a young up-and-coming fighter that wants to get on a card or wants to get signed by a promotion is to just get a good following first and just put himself in a position to show that he's marketable. And
No, it'll definitely help. I tell you that much. It definitely won't hurt you. I mean, if you have a strong following, you can definitely help as far as give you a little bit of leverage. Like, hey, look, this guy is really pushing himself marketability-wise in his social media platforms. He has a very strong following. Maybe he does, whether he's an amateur, he has a lot of people going to his events and supporting him. I mean, those are all great check marks where a promoter says, man, I'm going to give you the opportunity. Why? Because you're going to sell 50 to 60 tickets. That's what we need, right? Because everything costs.
Yeah. So, leading up to the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Weigh-ins, before weigh-ins. There's a lot that goes into the promotion.
100%.
Take us through, I guess, some of the most memorable moments.
I mean, you got to think about it. This event, I had 13 fights set in stone. 13 fights.
Yeah.
Fight day, when the bell rung, we only had 6 fights. That's how crazy.
How does that happen? How do you lose 7 fights?
That's how I tell you how the boxing game is. People get injured, people get hurt, all kinds of whether their excuses or not. Boxing is it's a hard game. You know, I had people like the week of like, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna fight. I don't think I'm gonna win, so I'm not gonna fight. Literally, they didn't even give us time to look for an opponent for our guy. I'm like, you know how much that screws us over, right? Like, you literally gave us no time to look for another opponent, so we lost that fight completely. Like the day of the weigh-in, literally 3 hours before, they call us. One of the guys called us. Hey, I'm not gonna make it to the weigh-in. I'm like, what do you mean you're not gonna make it to the weigh-in? Like, I feel really bad. Like, I'm feeling like I'm gonna faint. I try to lose too much weight. I'm like, I can't even walk. And he sounded like he was dying. So I believe him. Like, he's like, I overdid it. Like, I'm like, my heart's over racing. And like, I can't even walk. I'm like on the floor right now. So literally lost a fight there. So, man, it's never, ever ending.
You had a fight once where at the weigh-in, your opponent saw how in shape you were and they tried to leave. And the promoter had to run and catch him in the parking lot and make sure he didn't leave. Like, yeah, it happened. But I didn't know 7 fights. You lost 7 fights.
7 fights.
Off the card.
Off the card.
When that happens, do you ever give these people an opportunity again?
Oh, no. Like, okay. I mean, unless it's like, obviously, injuries happen. Well, we understand. You know, you can tell right away, like, yes, it's an injury. But if it's for over something that we know is, you know, especially me, I know. I'm a fighter. I've been a fighter since I was 8 years old. I know when someone's bullshitting. I know when it's serious. Yeah. When I know you're bullshitting, I'm like, bro, like, nah. Like, and I'd rather you be honest. If you're honest, like, hey, look, you know what? I respect that than you trying to lie or whatever. Like, there's no point. More if you sign the contract. Like, hey, you know, you sign the contract, you're ready to go. You know, we put in and like, think about us, we put a lot of effort in marketing. We market the event, but we market every individual fighter. Like, we do posts, we take pictures of every fighter, videos, highlights, whatever we can of each individual fighters, so the fighters can market themselves and they can market their fight and they can market the event. And what it does, it helps themselves, right? Because once they fight, they can move on. They can fight wherever else they want. They don't have to just fight for us. Yeah. We put a lot of effort, and it does suck sometimes that these guys, they're like, they don't even care. And it's the industry sometimes.
So a lot of people don't know that you are much more involved now with amateurs in the whole amateur program. You put on an amateur show the day before you did the pro show, and a lot of people don't realize that. And there's nobody really doing that. I also went to Mexico to meet with the president of the WBC. What happened with that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, you know, now I'm getting really involved.
I feel like you got an announcement to make.
Well, yeah, of course. So now I'm getting really involved in the amateur scene. You know, I've been blessed to be around really good people with good heart, and we are growing the team. And then now we're doing the amateur fights the night before, giving them a feel of how it is to be professional, kind of give them the theme, walking out with the music, kind of the graphics and all that. And then the day after we do the pro show. You know, it's definitely a lot more work and stress. That's why sometimes I'm a little bit more stressed. But it's definitely an opportunity for these younger kids to see if this is what they really want, give them a little bit more experience right before they decide to go pro. And two, what it does, it allows me to kind of scout talent. Right. You know, they say, hey, you know what, this kid is gifted, or this kid has a following, right? So it helps realistically on both ends, because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it helps me and it helps them. Now, as far as the WBC, you know, I would definitely went down there to meet Mauricio and his whole team, great people, and we decided to do something big. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a WBC tournament, right? So we're gonna bring the WBC tournament, which we're gonna have it here July 25th.
Yeah.
And we're gonna fight all of the people here in Texas. And then I'm gonna go to Mexico. I'm gonna do one in Mexico. I'm gonna do one over there. Then I'm gonna create an international tournament. Probably I shouldn't have said that, because there's gonna be people listening probably pissed. So we're gonna do an international tournament. It's gonna be probably Texas versus Mexico. And we're going to decide where we're going to host it. So that is the plan that we plan. That is the goal that we're going to do. Obviously, we got to figure out the whole, whether they come over here or we go over there, but that's later down the road. So July 25th will be our first tournament. And then obviously the next day is the pro show, because then we do the amateurs and the pros. And then I'll go down to Mexico. I'll do the same thing. We'll do an amateur tournament, then a pro show down there, probably in Monterrey. And then, yeah, and then we'll go from there. We'll see what happens.
What's the biggest challenges of doing an amateur show versus a pro?
Look.
Or biggest rewards, I would say, too.
I mean, like I said, I already have to have everything set up for the pros. So everything's going to be set up. So it's the same as far as the ring, as far as the logistics, it's copy-paste. Obviously, with the amateurs, getting the fights and all that. But that's why I have a great team that's what they focus on, 100%, getting the kids, getting the matches, all that. They got to weigh in the same day, set it up. Obviously, everything has to be run through the USA Boxing, all that. So having the right people with the great intentions is crucial. I definitely cannot do this. There's no way I can do this without them. I mean, 100%. So credit to them. I mean, they don't even want to be mentioned, to be honest with you. They're like, hey, no, they want to just focus and help me out. But like I said, it's for the greater purpose of what we think we can visualize in helping these kids. And like I said, the more we can do this, the more kids are going to want to box. The more kids that box are going to be, it's going to be more availability to have more world champions, right? It's just a numbers game.
How many amateur fights was it?
This last fight, we had 15.
Nice.
Yeah. But, I mean, we started at 7 p.m. We were done probably by like 10:30, 11. But they're elite, so, you know, they're going 3-minute rounds. So you're talking about elite fighters, so they're already, you know, experienced, ready, getting to that next level type of stuff.
I think that's also cool, somebody with your pedigree putting on amateur shows, because at one point you're very, very highly ranked amateur before you went pro. What was your amateur record?
Like 260-something wins or something like that. And like 35 losses. I don't even remember, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, a lot.
So, word on the street is you're thinking about doing a segment possibly on Ring Girls. I'll just say this. If anybody wants to see a segment done on Ring Girls, drop the word Ring Girls in the comments.
Right.
Also,
what it takes, the process.
How you find them. Like, if they can even tag somebody that wants to be a ring girl and hasn't ever been one before. But also,
how much they get paid?
All of that. If you want to see a segment on Ring Girls, drop the word Ring Girls in the comment. We'll have some on the show. Also, if you want to see any specific fighters, can they tag the fighter in the comments that they want to see right here on the show to have some questions and kind of go over some things. 5 minutes with your favorite fighter.
Yeah, 100%. That's the whole point. We're going to grow this. We're going to have guests coming in here. Like I said, we're going to bring our ring girls. We're going to bring fighters coming in. maybe some judges, referees, so we can get a little bit more in depth into the boxing world, right? Because that's what this is about. We really want to channel in what boxing's really about and go behind the scenes, and you're gonna get it here firsthand.
People don't really have a lot of judges on the show, a lot of referees on the show, and you're connected to everybody. So if there's anybody that anyone wants to see on the show, from a judge to a ring girl to referee to a fighter, tag them in the comments, drop their name, and we'll have them on the show.
You know, sometimes you see a fight and you're like, what are you thinking? What were these judges thinking? Well, guess what?
Now they can tell you.
Exactly. You get to ask them questions one-on-one. They'll tell you, hey, this is why I judged it this way, because you got to look at this, you got to look at that. Therefore,
some of these judges, we might have to like put them in the shadows and
with the dark boys. You know, it is what it is, right?
Either way, we'll get the information out.
100%.
Stay tuned.